How the hell did Donald Trump won the election? Is this a question that you wonder? Now, I don't have a complete answer, but I think I have an idea of why it happened. So, welcome to Nomad Reader. I read books in order to better understand the world. So, to explain you why Donald Trump won the election, I'm gonna give you a bit of like some definition about ethics, and I'm gonna give a few examples to better grasp the situation. So, like it starts with Richard Schroeder. So Richard Schroeder is a cultural psychologist. So basically, cultural psychology is a mix of anthropology and psychology. So he wrote about how culture and psychology are, intertwined. They're linked, and they cannot be studied separately. He found out that there are three major moral cluster that define how a person conduct himself, right? So for these, there are three definition of ethics. So the first one is autonomy, the second one is community, and the last one is divinity. So I'm going to explain to you what is autonomy. So the first one, ethic of autonomy. So in the ethic of autonomy, the individual are autonomous, right? They are seen as the central thing. We acknowledge that they have needs, wants, and desire. So in that case, moral concept will be the moral concept will be rights, liberty, justice. So obviously this is something that you'll see like mainly in the Western world. We talk a lot about justice, right? Liberty, right? These are like really like central theme. So now outside of the Western world, there's community. I think community it's it's you could say like it's a bit all over the world, but to different extent, right? So in the ethic of community, we have uh, groups and then we have individual. So the most important thing are the group. So the individual, and I take a lesser place. So each person needs to do what is necessary for the group to function in a way, right? So when we say group, we talk mainly about family, uh, nations, team, tribes, armies. I think like most group like they will have like that like internal logic in a way, right? So it's often role based. If you take like a sports team, there's we each have a role. Everybody needs to play their role in order for the team to win. So in that case, the moral concepts are duty, you could say honor, hierarchy, reputation, patriotism, and respect. As you saw, if you take, for instance, like another culture, like from outside of the Western world, you could see like how it could conflict with the idea of liberty, right? Because when we say, oh, that each person should have their role in society and all, and in the Western world, it's a bit of the opposite. You can do whatever you want. You are free and all. Like there are conflict. Like it doesn't completely match. There can be clashes. And the last one is divinity. So in the ethic of divinity, people are mainly seen as vessels in which there's a soul that has been implanted, right? So we really believe like that we're not just our body, but we need to really take care of our body, right? So there's the phrase like, oh, the body is a temple, right? In the ethic of divinity, like the moral concept are sanctity versus sin. You have purity versus pollution, elevation, degradation. So like these are like the main one. So once again, there's sort of a clash, right? If we take that point of view to look at the Western world, we will see like libertinism, hedonism, because like it's, the in the West, like the instinct are really acknowledged, and it's like okay, you can do you could say like it's a bit encouraged sometimes to do what you feel like, right? So it's celebrate the like there's a celebration of the extent. So from a divinity ethic, like that's how it would see it. It would seem like really bad, you know. So like these are the definition and all. Obviously, it's not 100% each of them in like each part of the world, right? I think that like the West has like all a bit of everything to different degrees, depend the different contexts and all. So now I'm gonna give you some example of that where there are some real clashes, right? So I think that in the U.S., like in the recent year, like there are really some powerful example. And the first one that I'm gonna give, freedom of speech and cancel culture, right? So for freedom of speech, so people who value freedom of speech, they will value the ethic of autonomy, right? So really the freedom of individual to be able to say what they want, right? Because like everybody has their thought and all that, and like it should be shared. Like you should not be sanctioned like for saying something that like you believe and whatever, right? And then on the other side, you have community. So in the case of people who will value like cancel culture, they will value more like the community. They will value the idea that like if you have some speech that perhaps like goes against like certain community, and it can impact them negatively and all, like it's not a good thing, so we should protect them, right? So this is a really good example of like clash. Another good example is the separation of church and state. I think this one is a bit more, I guess, known, sort of, right? So in that case, we have like divinity and autonomy that clash, right? So the you could say like the most religious group in the US, like they will value the importance of teaching the religious text and all, blah blah. And on the other side, there's the autonomy that will be more value. In other case, it's money like Democrat, Democrats who value autonomy, and the you could say like the Republican, they will value divinity. So for autonomy, it's gonna be more like people will advocate for secularism in school, like to not impose religious belief, right? And then again, as I said before, it's really like different degrees. I think it's not like a complete monolithic view for each of the position, right? But I think that if you want like a more concrete example of that, you can take abortion. I think abortion is really like a good example of that, because now like recently like there's been like Roe v. Wade that has been revoked. I think that's the term, right? And now people are advocating that like the women should have the right to do whatever they want with their body, so autonomy. And then there's the state. Well, I think that there's also like that perceived notion. Then again, like I'm not in the US, so I'm trying just to explain like as best as I can. But I know that there is that perceived notion that like we're valuing more like divinity because like it's more religious people who are advocating for um, like anti-abortion. So once again, clash of value ethics. Another good example, COVID was a perfect example of that. So like the public health measures. So once in here, like we have like you could say like the Democrats who will mainly value community. They will value the idea that we should take care of like the collective health of the nation, right? So now it's like the nation is the community, and this is what we're valuing, right? And on the other side, you have the Republican who are valuing autonomy. Like you should have they value the autonomy, your of choice, making choice for your own body, that freedom of choice. So you see, like as more as I give the example, like you can see that like it's not always like the right and the left that are always valuing the same thing, right? So I think like it shows that like it's a bit more complex than we think. And the last example that I'm gonna give is about immigration policies. So on one side, you could say like you have the Democrat who will value autonomy, right? They will value like the autonomy in the sense that every person, regardless of their origin, their national origin, they should be able like to have the right to come to the country and benefit from the U.S. and all of their privilege and all, right? And on the other side, you have the Republican who will mainly be more, yeah, who will value more the community. So in that sense, the community is the nation. The nation, like the nation should be first. We should take care of the nation first. People, every person in the U.S. first, and then we can perhaps take care of like the immigrants, right? So now that we learned about the three ethics, autonomy, divinity, and community, let's go back to the initial question. So, why did Trump win? Right? I think there's multiple reasons why he won. And like I said, not an expert, but I think that the reason why he won was because he spoke to the largest group in the USA, and this is the Americans, right? If you compare it to Kamala, she spoke to many communities. You could say like left-wing women, blacks, Latino, LGBTQ, and so on. So if you compare the two, the most unifying message would be the American, right? Regardless of their views and all. Yeah, I think like that's one of the reason, and I think this one it touched the ethic of community because it's mostly community in the sense of the nation, right? The nation wise. And now to really exemplify what I said, like there's an interesting video of one of France's previous president, Nicolas Sarkozy, that explained the matter.
Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Mais c'est très simple. Trump a parlé à la nation américaine de la nation. Kamala a parlé aux communautés américaines des communautés. Or, une nation n'est pas une addition de communautés. Trump a été élu parce qu'il a parlé de l'Amérique aux Américains. Kamala Harris a parlé aux Noirs des Noirs, aux homosexuels des homosexuels, aux femmes de l'avortement, aux Latinos des Latinos. Où était le pays? Où était la grandeur de l'âme nationale? Où était la flamme nationale? Où était l'espérance? C'était une addition de communautés à qui on cherchait à faire plaisir.
So thank you very much for listening to this video. I hope that you learned something. So as I said, the three ethics, divinity, community, and autonomy. I think it explains a lot, but I wouldn't say that there's necessarily one that is better than the other. I think it's really contextual. But definitely, when we look at them, we can definitely see all of the clashes of values and probably all of the issues that touched America and even outside of America. I would say like it probably applies. So all of this information, the information about three ethics, like I got it from the book of Jonathan Haidt, Why Good People Are Divided by Religion and Politics. So I'm not done with the book, but I think it's really an interesting book. Probably when I'll be done with it, I'll make like a full review of video to like give my thoughts and all. So yeah, like I said, thank you very much for listening. It was a long video, but if you got till the end, please write banana in the comments.